Alright, welcome to another episode of Life and Whiskey. As always, I'm Jordan, and now we are getting to the bottle from this session of batch shoot whiskeys. I don't know what this is, 5, 6, I don't know how many whiskeys. How many ever whiskeys that look like this, and I talk about it being June 21st, the solstice. That is how many ever whiskeys I've reviewed. This is a present from my wife and son for Father's Day, which was just 3 days ago. 2 days ago? Let's see, it's Tuesday. So on Sunday was Father's Day. My wife got this. She paid $99.99 here locally for this. This is the Talisker Distiller's Edition 2019 release. I do believe there is a 2022 or a 2021. I'm not sure which release that is out. But this is the 2019 version. It is basically the Talisker 10-year finish. It's double cask, so it's double matured, as they say, in Amoroso cask. Okay, I'm not sure what Amoroso is. I have not done this yet, but I've been meaning to do it. I want to look up and see what the different types of sherry casks there are, what the different types of sherry is, because there's Oloroso, there's Amoroso, which is what this is, and then, I don't know, like 10 other varieties. But my wife and I are really getting into these double oaked finished whiskeys that have been finished in some sort of a sherry cask. So I have a Macallan that's finished. We have a Wyoming whiskey that's finished. We have Angel's Envy, which is finished in a port barrel. That's a little bit different. We have Starlight, which is a finished. Several different Lafroigs, Ardbegs. I don't know. I have all sorts of whiskeys that are finished in some sort of a sherry cask, and so I need to look up the different varieties of sherry to see if I can figure out and gauge kind of what I like the most and how that is impacting the whiskey. Boy, it's almost like I've had a little bit of whiskey. This is currently sitting at 45.8% ABV. So what is that? 91.6 proof, something like that. Like I said, this is basically their 10-year. I don't know if it says that anywhere, but I think this is basically the Talisker 10. Now, I have actually never, I don't know what this means, but it has like a little insignia on there, TD-S:5VH, whatever that means. I'm guessing that is maybe the barrel or rickhouse or something like that. But I have to say, wife and I broke into this because, you can't let a present like that sit around and go unnoticed. So it was distilled. Oh yeah, here we go. Distilled in 2009, bottled in 2019, so 10 years old. And oddly enough, I have not had Talisker 10-year because here locally, the 10-year is like, I think the cheapest I've seen is like $75, something like that. And we're going to compare this to, I just put out here, this Talisker Storm. This is the first Talisker I ever bought, and you can watch the review that I did of this previously. I bought this in Minnesota on my travels in 2021. I think we bought that in May 2021 at a liquor store in Rochester, Minnesota, and I paid like, I don't remember off the top of my head. Suppose I could probably look that up. But I purchased this because there was this Talisker Storm and there was a Talisker 10-year. And the Talisker Storm was the cheaper of the two. Where is this? There we go. Talisker Storm. I paid $41.99, so $42 for this Talisker Storm. I want to say at that same store, the Talisker 10 was $56 or $62. For some reason, those two numbers are sticking in my head. And here locally, the 10 is, like I said, 72, 75. I don't even think I've seen it in the 60s around here, which is kind of a shame because this Storm is excellent. It's one of my favorite whiskeys. But we're going to compare the two here. So let's start with the Distiller's Edition here. On the nose, it's very dark fruit. Earthy peat, so not peat smoke, but the earth, the dirt itself. There's just the slightest hint of seaside brine in there. I mean, it's really tucked in the back. I get a couple of sweet notes, and then I get sherry. So we got up in the refrigerator, we have cheap Walmart brand cooking dry sherry. I have no idea what it might be, Marsala or something like that. I don't actually know what it is, but to me, this has an overtone of that sherry itself. Like very distinguished sherry mixed with all that other stuff. So, just as a reminder, I'm coming off the heels of multiple bourbons. So that will impact what I'm smelling and tasting, but to my memory, this smells pretty much exactly the way it did last night. Going in for a taste. Very sweet forward, a light butterscotch, a little bit of a black pepper that is kind of starting out in the front, carrying through. You pick up the peat smoke, which is kind of a campfire-y, earthy smoke, kind of towards the finish. There's that sherry flavor. So if you've ever just tried a sip of that sherry wine for cooking, that picks up in there. A lot of sweet notes, a lot of interesting fruit notes, and then that smoke is towards the end and a finish. I'm not getting a whole lot of that brininess, like with Lafroig. Like I can taste the salt on my lips. I'm not getting that so much. It's there. It's just like a fleeting little bit at the very end. Man, excellent. I'd say it's worth $100. I'm not gonna lie. Although I'm a huge fan of this Storm, and we're gonna get into this one. And for $42, the price difference, it's kind of hard to justify, but man, not bad. I'm gonna give her one more sip. The nose didn't change, but man, that butterscotch is like turned up to 10. That is the beginning and middle of the palate before you pick up just a nice light pepper. Kind of fades into that nice light smoke. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Now, I will warn, as I have with most of my comparison, and as you can tell, we've kind of dug into this quite a bit, because this is one of my favorite go-tos. One of the problems I have when I'm comparing peated whiskeys is really that first sip of any peated whiskey is the only sip that smoke is the most impactful. As soon as I go on to my second, third, fifth, glass, whatever, that smoke gets subdued so much, and I get all these sweet, fruity, really nice flavors coming out of all these whiskeys, and I don't get that peat impact as much. So my reason for saying that is on the Storm now, it's going to be impacted from the fact that I've already had the smoke off of that Distiller's Edition. But, oh my gosh, that is like pure butterscotch. Like those hard yellow butterscotch candies that are wrapped in the yellow cellophane that are kind of, I don't know if they're the Brocks or whatever. When I was a kid, you used to be able to go into the store, like we had a Pick and Save in the town that I grew up in, and they had those barrels of like loose candy that you'd buy by the pound, and they had Brocks and a couple other, I don't even know if they had if they had a name brand, I don't know. I remember Brock's for some reason, BRACH''S. They had like the Tootsie Roll kind of things, but I don't know if that's the name brand of all the candy. But there was a butterscotch that was round. It was disc shaped and had yellow cellophane around it, and that is exactly what I'm getting out of this glass. Is that to a T? I'm not getting any smoke or brine or anything, and I know that that is in that glass. I literally just had this last night. I know that it's in there, and I'm not getting any of it. So this has just killed my senses to that. But the smell that is coming out of this glass is just sugary sweet deliciousness. On the flavor, oh, so good. It's that butterscotch. Everything I just described in the nose came through. Luckily, mid palate, you pick up with a smoke. It's more of a wood smoke than a peat, like sitting around a campfire. And then it pushes into a slight ashiness, a little bit of salty brine in there, not a whole lot. Very different whiskeys. Okay, so this one has more of the dark fruit. Sorry, the Distiller's Edition has more dark fruit, distinct fruit flavors and nose characteristics, along with that sherry, definitely present and detectable. In the Storm, you get more of a sweet butterscotch and more of that peat character kind of mixed together. You get a little more black pepper on the Distiller's Edition than you do in the Storm. The Storm has more of a salty brininess to it. Like, they are nowhere near each other. Yeah, this is all sorts of dark fruit, this Distiller's Edition. And I guess I should put a little more. Golly, they're both good. You really can't go wrong. If you don't want to spend a ton of money, drop in the comments down below what you can find either of these for in your area. Like I said, $42 for the Storm, $100 for that. See if you can get that. Hopefully you can pick up the difference in color. The Storm is much lighter butterscotch in color. The Distiller's Edition, darker, has more of a burgundy red to it as well. And it really is just the difference of that sherry cask in there. That's what I'm picking up more of in the Distiller's Edition, whereas the Storm is just more sweet butterscotch and peat on the flavor. You can't go wrong with either of them. I'd love to have a 10-year. I'm going to probably break down and buy one here eventually. Hopefully I can find one for less than what I'm paying for here, so I'll keep my eyes open while I'm out traveling around. And hopefully we can get one for maybe in the 60s or 50s. That'd be great to have to compare with these, but there you go. Drop in the comments down below what your experience with Talisker is. I believe, coming from the Isle of Skye, I think they're the only distillery still on the Isle of Skye. They do a great job. I don't think you can go wrong with any of their products. Granted, these are the only two I've ever had, but so far I'm super impressed. I love their presentation. I love how the peated whiskey is right in line with Islay whiskeys, but they don't copy the flavor profile of any of the Islay whiskeys I've had so far. So to me personally, all of the distilleries have distinguished presentations of each of the flavors. They might have similar flavors and nosing components, but they don't present the same way. So like there's a definite difference between Laphroaig, and I have, I don't know, 6 or 7 Laphroaigs. Ardbeg, I have 5 or 6 Ardbegs, and Lagavulin. They all present very differently. I have a Kilchoman. I have a Bunnahabhain finally. I have Port Charlotte. I don't remember. I don't have any Octomores or anything like that because those are crazy expensive. But all of those present very differently from one another. and they all seem to kind of have a signature component that is very characteristic of all of their whiskeys. And so I'd say the same thing is true about Talisker, and you can't go wrong with it. So drop in the comments down below what you can find a bottle of either Talisker Storm or the Distiller's Edition 2019, which is probably going to be more expensive going forward, because one of the leading reasons why whiskey is expensive is its rarity. It doesn't really have anything to do with flavor or whether or not you're going to like it. It's about demand and supply, you know, as economics should be. And because this is a 2019 edition, it's going to be more and more difficult to find going forward into the future. So it's probably going to get more expensive. But let me know what you can find it for in your area. It's $100 here. And the Storm was $42 in Minnesota. Granted, that was a year ago before inflation really went nuts. So I'd be interested to see what you can find a bottle for in your area. Also, drop in the comments what experience you have with any Talisker products. I'd be interested in hearing what you have to say about that. I'm a fan, as you can tell. As always, thanks for watching. I do greatly appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, share this video with anybody who you think will find it valuable or interesting. And as always, thanks for watching. You guys have yourselves a great day. We'll catch you in the next video. That's the end of today's batch shooting. Next time we get started, I think we'll hit ryes. I got this Templeton rye here, which is a barrel strength 2019 limited edition. Pendleton 1910 rye. I got, while we were on our travel, Yellowstone and Pinedale. Yellowstone, before it got flooded out and shut down 3 weeks ago. It flooded out last week. I got Tin Cup rye, which is basically MGP rye. So I think the next go round we'll start with rye. And since I have ryes, bourbons, and a lot of Scotch, we'll probably end up with a couple of Scotches. As always, that's how I tend to do it. Do a bunch of bourbon or rye up front, finish with 1 or 2 Scotches, because my palate typically is blown out by the peat by the end of that. So there we go. Have yourselves a great day. Thanks for watching. Do greatly appreciate it. We'll catch you in the next video.